this is Sung from Sky Academy. I'm the principal and director, and in this episode what I want to do is continue on our path of looking at indices, and in this particular episode we're going to look at negative indices. Alright, negative indices. So in other words, what would happen if your index, right, your minus m, was a negative number? Your m would be negative, okay? So when you've got a negative indice, what that means or what that represents is not that the whole number, the whole result will be negative, but rather that it's the reciprocal of the positive indice. So the answer to a to the power of minus m would be 1 over a to the positive m. Does that make sense? We're going to look at a couple of examples now to really see how this operates, and you need to be good at this because when it comes to calculus, which you'll do a little bit later on, you'll need to be really good at working with negative indices. Alright, and you'll also need to be really good at working with rational or fractional indices. Alright, but we'll go through that in the next episode. For the time being, let's concentrate on negative indices. So here we've got minus a half to the power of negative 3. So in other words, what we've got here is the negative means that it's the reciprocal, alright, of a half. What's the reciprocal of a half? Well, it's 2 over 1 to the positive 3. Alright, which would be 2, just 2, 2 over 1 is just 2, to the power of 3, which is 8. Got it? Alright. 6 to the power of negative 2 would be, 6 to the power of 2 is 36, 6 times 6 is 36, to the power of negative 1, and what does the negative 1 do? It turns it into a reciprocal, which is just 1 over 36. Got it? Okay. Let's have a look at example C. Alright, this one, I'm just doing this example because it allows us to use all our log laws, sorry, not log laws, I keep saying log laws, but what I'm really talking about is index laws. It allows us to use all our index laws all in one hit. So let's have a look at this particular question. Cool. So basically what we've got is if we've got 3 to the power of minus 2, what that means is that what's on top can go on the bottom. The negative means that we put it on the bottom. And if we've got a negative indice on the bottom, what that means is we can put that on the top. Right? So let's rearrange it so that we get rid of all the negatives. So we've got 6 to the power of 3 all on, and the 3 to the power of negative 2 would go on the bottom. The 12 to the power of negative 2 will go on the bottom, and it'll become a positive indice now. The 9 to the power of negative 3 would go on the top, and the 2 to the power of negative 2 would go on the top. And this time, what we've done is we've gotten rid of all the negatives. Does that make sense? And now we're dealing with positive indices only. Alright, so let's have a look. Alright, so 6 to the power of 3. What we're going to do is we're going to use this log law here. Sorry, I keep saying log laws, but what I'm talking about is index laws. Let me make that perfectly clear. I'm talking about index laws, right? So you know, that's shame on me for saying that. But what we're going to do is we're going to break down this 6 into its factors of 2 and 3. Alright, so 6 becomes 2 times 3, so it becomes 3 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 3. So that bit there becomes 3 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 3. 9 becomes 3 squared, again to the power of 3, times 2 to the power of 2. All over 3 to the power of 2 times, and 12 becomes, let's work this out here, 12 becomes 4 times 3, which becomes 2 times 2 times 3. Alright, so it becomes 2 squared times 3. So in other words, the 12 becomes 2 squared times 3, all to the power of. So if we were to work this out, we've got 3 to the power of 3 times 3 to the power of 2 times 3, which is 6, times 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 2, which is 2 to the power of 5, all on 3 squared times 2 to the power of 2 times 2, which is 4, times 3 to the power of 2. Yep. Now, we end up with 3 to the power of 9 times 2 to the power of 5 all over 3 to the power of 4 times 2 to the power of 4. And that gives us 3 to the power of 5, because 9 minus 4 is 5, times 2 to the power of 5 minus 4 is 1. Yep. Put that into your calculator and you should get a number. This would be 243. I think your answer would be 486. Okay? Yeah. And if you put that in your calculator, you should get that. Alright. So have a look at that. That is a good working example of how we use the index laws, not the log laws. And let's have a look at example D. Alright? And if you don't get this example here, make sure that you kind of go through that in your own time and just see what I've done there, and make sure that you understand how I'm applying all the index laws. So let's have a look at this example here. Alright. What we've got is a to the power 8ab squared to the power of 3 times a squared b to the power of 2 a squared over a squared b squared to the power of 3. And what you have is a to the power of 3 b to the power of 6 times a to the power of 4 b to the power of 2 all over a to the power of 6 times b to the power of 6. Okay, and we did that by using this log law here, this index law here. Okay, all right. So when we multiply, what we get is a to the power of, I'll come around this side, a to the power of 7, because 3 plus 4 is 7, b to the power of 8, because 6 plus 2 is 8, all over, let's change this to a 3, because I want to make it a little bit more interesting. So 3, that would become 9. So it becomes a to the power of 9 over b to the power of 6. And what you do get is, you've got a to the power of 7 divided by b to the power of 9, which is a to the power of minus 2, or negative 2, b to the power of 8 minus 6, which is 2. And that, right, means that this here is a negative indice, which means that we can put the a squared on the bottom. So it ends up being b squared over a squared. Does that make sense? Right? And the reason why I chose this example is just to show you that with some questions like this, the squared, a negative indice that you get as a result can go on the bottom. Okay? So what I would like you to do is go away, have a look at how to do all these particular questions, and then have a go at some of these questions yourselves, applying negative indices and how they operate. Okay? Thank you very much for watching.